Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Always born ready, they say.
Yes. Okay. All right. Welcome to Healthfulness Age of the Plants Podcast. Woo-hoo-hoo. We have here today the owner and the founder of the Soul Spoke Foods, Paul Medeiros. Woohoo! I'm so honored to have you here today, Paul.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And so for me to introduce you today, you can have a chance to pick a special tone of voice that you'd like me to introduce you in. So what would that be?
Are you going to surprise me with that one?
You want me to surprise you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I've never had that request before. So are you ready for the surprise?
Uh-oh. Should I have not asked to be surprised?
You'll see. Okay. Over 30 years of retail experience, 10 years as store and regional manager for Wesfarmers, and 5 years successfully managing his own health foods business, and now 8 years as the founder and managing director for the Soul Spoke Foods franchise group. Woohoo! And this all happened because of one passionate belief. The source of Paul's journey lies in the heart of beautiful Byron Bay here in Australia. It was 2007 when the ownership of the humble fruit, veg and health food store Eden's Landing sprouted. As a family-run business, they offered the Byron Shire community a bounty of local and organic produce, freshly squeezed juices and shelves loaded with health foods. Life was good, but they knew it could be great. As delicious as the health foods may have been, they all shared a common and troubling trait: excessive packaging. No! The Soul Spoke Foods was born in 2012 from the belief that unpackaged food should be easier to access and a smaller carbon footprint could be achieved every time you shop. Their customers agreed. I agreed too. Paul has opened new stores from Mullumbimby to Balmain. Today, they are now the largest specialised bulk food retailer in Australia, with 60 stores in Australia and stores in New Zealand, England, Ireland, and Singapore. You can choose from over 400 bulk food bins filled with your favorite quality ingredients. The Soul Spoke Food can help you create a healthier home inside and out. Let us welcome Paul Medeiros, where he joins us today to share his passion on living healthy and living to save Earth.
Have you sent the streamers? I'm looking for the confetti. It's not coming. What an intro. I don't think I've ever had an intro like that. And I think you do an amazing job. Did you do acting or did you do anything like that?
No.
You're very good at it.
Thank you. I love doing this.
That's fantastic. You're natural. I wish I could do the same thing that you do with the confidence you do. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Paul.
That's great.
All right. So are you ready to get started on our questions?
Absolutely. Here we
Okay.
go.
So we'll let the flywheel choose your destiny.
Oh. Uh-oh.
The first one. Okay. What habits are you proudest of breaking after you became healthy?
Good one. I can I twist it a little bit? The habit that I'm probably most happy or pleased of creating first rather than breaking
Okay. Yeah.
is that the healthier I became, and this was a long-term thing, obviously it didn't happen overnight. My body obviously started to not need as much of the other stuff or the bad habits, and so I just felt like exercising more, but it was sort of a combination. So I picked up the habit of exercising more through my body having the energy and wanting to release that energy because I was eating more healthily. I don't know if that makes sense, but obviously when you're not eating healthy, your body kind of gets lethargic and you don't have energy and you may resort to the bad habits. So from eating more healthily, I just developed this need. It wasn't even a want, it was a need to exercise. And I started by walking down the beach. Started with half an hour, and then it became an hour, and then I started jogging back. And now I'm doing 3 days a week with a personal trainer. And if I miss a day, I miss it. I really do. You know, I never thought I'd get to that point where I miss exercising, but I do. And again, this is all because of the habits, the healthy habits that I'm taking on. Look, I didn't have too many bad habits to give that up. It was just more about ensuring that I created good habits. And when I say habits, I don't mean just training every now and then or whenever I have a couple of beers on the weekend. I'm talking about creating a lifestyle habit.
Yeah. And can you share with us a bit more about that habit you're talking about? Like what type of diet do you eat now? Is it more plant-based or you have access to all these healthy food? So
I mean, we've been lucky since we moved up here to have access to all that. So we have been eating from our stores for a long time, but you know, we did. I'm Portuguese, so my nature and the way I was born and raised, was a lot of you know, red meat and things like that, and pork, and chicken and everything else. I come from an island in Portugal, so fish was, you know, a massive staple. But I married Emma, who just naturally didn't eat meat, and so it was a progression since the day I met her. So we've kind of progressed, but then obviously the more I learned when we came up here about healthy eating, sustainability, and the issues with, you know, with animal farming and what have you, on the environment, on so many different things, we obviously started to learn more about those impacts, and we not only naturally progressed that way, but we intentionally made an effort to do so. So even though we're not 100% plant-based, there's been a definite progression to that. And out of that, you know, again, our bodies, they respond. And so, you know, I don't feel bloated when I used to feel bloated with red meat, for example, and it was just, my body just didn't react very well to it. And again, the fact that my body doesn't have to expend so much energy, you know, digesting something that it's not naturally wanting to do so, you know, that there's a good hour of gym in the morning or from the night before that I've got now that I didn't have. So it was all of those, you know, little things.
Yeah. And you mentioned how you're not 100%, which is okay, but you're already feeling the benefits. So roughly around how much percentage of plant-based are you on? 70, 80?
Probably about 80, 90. And it's only, you know, we still eat, you know, I'll have maybe a salmon dish during the week. And again, it's, you know, the kids love salmon, and it's it's a good source of omegas, even though we can argue we can find that in other ways. And look, we've replaced a lot with, you know, hemp seeds and you know, all of the the high omega base. But for some reason, it's just the one thing that we kind of, haven't let go of completely. But so seafood is still part of our diets.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that honestly.
Well, are you going to kick me out?
No. For me, I'm not promoting 100%. You need to be perfect, because if no one can be perfect. Yes, there are people who are there, but the majority of us, we're only humans, and we have our cravings, and we're all just in different stages of our life. And you all know when you're ready to take the next step. For me, when I first started, like before I went plant-based, I was a carnivore. I was probably doing 60% meat.
Right.
Not plant, but meat. Right. That's how much it was. And it was every single meal, there had to be meat. And so my first massive step for me was going 70% plant-based.
Yep.
And then and that was since September last year. And then since then, I've been doing a lot more, like studying, attending seminars, and now I've naturally progressed to 100%. But I'm doing it in stages of where I do these 4-week challenges. So I do 4 weeks 100%, and then I let myself go. And then I'll eat whatever I feel like. And then I have these really weird reactions where I don't like the food I used to like anymore. So then I use it as a chance to reprogram myself. So an example was that I also used to love fish, grilled fish, like Japanese grilled fish was my favorite. And I would order it from this Japanese restaurant that I love. And then the last time I tried it after I did the 4 weeks is I didn't like it anymore. I just felt it tasted too oily. It was just the taste. It wasn't giving me the joy. And now I'm in phase 2 of my second 4 weeks 100% plant-based challenge. So I'm in week 3 of it now. So I have 1 more week to go. So after I finish this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to let myself go and then see how my taste buds have changed. And then I'm going to use this process of zigging and zagging to naturally go to wherever my body feels right.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I think part of everybody's journey, though, is also you've got to try and not. It depends on what angle you kind of buy into, but some people say you can't put yourself in a position or try and avoid positions where you might be tempted. But other people say, no, throw yourself at those positions. So when you are tempted, you're strong. But, I went completely plant-based, not vegan, but vegetarian, probably for 4 years. But when I went back to Portugal, it was very, very difficult to actually be in that scenario. And I did last a long time, but when I got back, for some reason, I just maybe mentally wasn't strong enough, but that was after almost 4 years. So I kind of wished I hadn't gone to Portugal at that time, because that's, I think, what triggered me to go back. I was silly, because if I was going to go back to eating meat, I should have just done it there where there was beautiful, meat eating. But I chose to do it back here. But then, I lapsed in that regard. But then I went back just to, like I've said to you, with the family, just on fish. So it's not, it's not nowhere near as bad as I was, years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's don't beat yourself up over it, because you've been through that stage now, and now you know how it felt like. So this time you're in it, you can appreciate even more, and you become stronger in this.
Yeah. But look, I think, but also, I mean, it must be difficult for people. I mean, we Emma, like my wife's family, for example, because she was naturally, they were naturally plant-based eaters. They just naturally never ate meat a lot. Since I met her 20 odd years ago, I've been sort of, every time I go there, it's always been plant-based, very rarely was there anything else. And so when we came up here and with the fruit shop and all of that, it was just a no-brainer. We didn't become butchers. We became fruit and veg, shop owners. So it just made sense to, combine what we already knew to what we already had available to go down that path. So, look, I think if I was on my own, and I didn't have that influence from my wife and her family, maybe I wouldn't, maybe I wouldn't be here on this journey, of course, but maybe I wouldn't be, thinking that way either. So, so it must be tough for someone who's been eating meat all their life, to actually get onto that journey. The only thing I can, suggest, or the only thing that I can bring to the table is just how much energy I started having, and just how it changed my body, over the course of time to give me that energy, and for the better, obviously, because then I started exercising more and did all that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it is tough, and that's why we've created this podcast, to let people know that you're not in this alone. We've all been through this. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, next question.
Let's go.
All right. Can you share with us, what were the biggest obstacle you faced in becoming like plant-based again? And how did you overcome it?
Well, it was the toughest part was the beautiful Portuguese cooking that I was brought up with, and mum lives here, so she was cooking a lot of those Portuguese meals. And when I came here when I was about 9, so they say the formative years of your life are obviously in those 3 to 7 or whatever it is, and most people don't think that food becomes part of those formative years, but it does. And so that everything you eat at that point is what you kind of grow into. So that was probably the biggest challenge, was going to, as I said before, being exposed to the meat and not wanting, or getting to a point where I didn't want to eat it. So I'd go to Portugal, or I'd go to mum's for lunch or dinner, and everyone else would be having all this food, and it's presented in front of you, and you've got to be brave and not accept it, or bring your own. Some people do. My sister-in-law has been vegetarian for a long time, and she progressed to being completely vegan probably a year or so ago. And I've seen a transition, and we've been to places with her for many years where she couldn't get the type of food that she was after. So she's obviously gone through much bigger challenges than I have, because I'm not 100% yet, but she always overcomes it. It's just a matter of having the willpower, or being prepared. And being prepared is probably one of the biggest I guess things to take into this journey, but not only mentally, but also potentially even physically, by bringing your own things. So I guess that was the biggest challenge.
Yeah, and I can relate to that, because my background is from Taiwan, and we're also very similar in that we have family gatherings with tons of food. So it'll be interesting the next time I go back and see what happens.
I was going to say, I almost got disowned by my family in Portugal, because when I told them I was eating plant-based, or, I was becoming vegetarian, I was vegetarian while I was over there, they said, the first half of them didn't understand the concept, because they don't understand the concept. And then the other half was, we don't know what to cook. and then there's the old adage, don't worry about it, we'll cook chicken then. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Just because it's white meat. But
chicken is vegetarian.
But that's what's out there.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. But it's it is challenging, but be prepared when you go back.
Yeah. Exactly. And then also not only be prepared, but just lead by example. Yeah. I know it's easier said than done, but that's what I will be doing next time I go back, and see what will happen. And maybe I even plan to go into the kitchen and teach them how to cook. Yeah. That's what I have in mind. Yeah.
Take a couple of nice dishes and give them a taste of.
Yeah.
Oh, very clever. I should have done the same thing.
You can try that next time you go back. Yeah, you can cook your mum some dishes.
I will. Actually, she's been very good, because she knows that we're on progression. So she's very good now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Great.
when she does a lasagna, it's vegetarian. She does a lot of baked veggies. So she's very mindful now. So
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious.
she's also pleased as well.
Well, thank you. All
Sure.
right. Next question. Okay, I really like the question. It repeated, so let's do it again. It does that sometimes. All right, tell us a bit more about what is your food life like now?
Specifically, like what?
In
My
general?
food life.
Yeah.
I mean, my life is surrounded by food, whether it's business, work, home. It's my life revolves around food. So I've got one big food life. So how do I answer that? So can you repeat the question? Can I explain? Or can
What's your food life like now? So like, what do you eat? Because like you said, you're surrounded by food. You have so much temptations. How do you still?
Sure. So
Yeah.
what we do, especially with 4 kids, I've got kids that range from 9 months to 10 years old. You have to make it interesting, make as much interesting as possible. So as an example, we might batter cauliflower, and we'll look up ways to come up with a batter for cauliflower to make cauliflower interesting, rather than a schnitzel, like a typical schnitzel. We'll try and replicate, some of the flavors, but for some of the veggies. So our food life, that's a very good question. Our food life probably revolves around the family and trying to make our dinners especially enjoyable for the kids, and getting them to enjoy plant-based eating as well.
Okay. And how do you get your kids to enjoy it? Because I've always been curious about this. How do you get the kids on board? A lot of people ask these questions.
Yep, I think flavors are key, because I learned from when they go to mum and dad's, again with the Portuguese flavors they love, and especially very early on in the piece for us when we weren't as experienced. I mean, I'd be happy with steamed veggies, to be honest. To me, it's more about the nutrition and all of that. But with the kids, it's a completely different story. Steamed veggies on the plate is not as exciting as a battered, cauliflower, for example, or something that's a little bit more flavoursome. So, so that's I think the key is probably bringing in as many flavours as you can to that. And look, especially with kids, they love experiencing the different flavours. They might not like some, but I think they like the experience. And it's just a matter of finding the flavour that they enjoy and trying to replicate that with as many different vegetables as you can.
And I guess the challenge is, how do you bring the flavors and excitements to them, but still keeping it healthy, trying to keeping it whole food, using natural spices and herbs and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there that packaged that you can get that's natural and healthy. Obviously, we try and promote within our stores to not buy those items, but putting aside the waste issue, there are a lot of healthy possibilities out there. It's just a matter of finding the right one for the family. But look, there's also so much information online now about creating your own that there's no reason why you can't go in and just buy it without being in the packaging anyway. So there's plenty out there. I think it's like anything, and this is why we've never been a business that wants to impose our values and beliefs. So people need to be presented it, and then they have to have a natural buy-in to what it is presenting for them to be loyal customers. That applies to everything. So, I think your viewers and your listeners have to, when they're presented with something and they go out there and create their own buy-in, then they start doing that. So once they find it, they're in their own way, and if they're ready to take that on, that's when it's naturally going to be the onboarding for them. you can't say, do this, go and do that, go and look at this recipe. I think they naturally have to evolve that to create that natural buy-in. So, if I was a dad that was looking to embark on this journey, and I'm listening to us now, I'd be thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll jump online and see what the possibilities are. And then I'd form my own opinion, and then my own onboarding process will then come when I've got that enough of a need or a drive or a want to do it. And look, this platform and what we're doing today might be at the start of somebody's journey, might be way back, or it could be on the cusp of someone making the decision to do it. But either way, it's important. This is why I do, like to say to these sort of platforms.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's go to the next question.
Let's do it.
Tell us, what is your favorite dish?
My favorite dish? I go back to the cauliflower that we did only last night. That's why I bought it. It was just such a nice dish, and it was all plant-based. We didn't have any fish. It did involve some pasta, which I normally don't like to eat as I'm going through my own health journey. But we sell some pasta that's like a spinach and beetroot, and it's a quinoa type of pasta. So it's veggie as well, but it's not just. It actually doesn't have any wheat, and it was just like a cauliflower. And again, we don't fry much, but we fried a little bit with this one. We created like a breadcrumb style batter that was coated around the cauliflower. It wasn't completely plant-based because we still use a little bit of the milk to create the batter, but it was just delicious. I mean, I could go on.
Okay, I'm like,
to get you
I've got salivas now. Yeah, can you share a bit more? So you can easily make it plant-based by switching it to some sort of nut milk. So that's an easy change.
That's easy. We could have done that as well. I mean, again, we probably would have had that there, but again, it's just that mentality. We've just used to doing what we used before. But I mean, that's one thing. The one thing that I do enjoy is bringing those flavors into what we would otherwise not. So when you think of cauliflower, and again, I shouldn't say generally when you think of it, but when we used to think of cauliflower and broccoli, you just think about the steamed versions of it. But when you actually do a bit of research and you realize you can do a lot more with it, all of a sudden you've got the good opportunities. And look, we were introduced to a lot of this through some of those home delivery type of businesses. And there's some that offer really good plant-based home delivery meals rather than just anything that's got meat in it. And you can request that. And so the reason we didn't continue with them was they actually decided. They actually use a lot of packaging, and unfortunately for us, obviously with our ethos, we don't promote that at all, and we don't want to buy into it. So when we first contacted them, we were even asking to see if they could change some of their their ways around the way that they actually bring the product to the home. But they had some great recipe ideas, and we replicate a lot of those now ourselves. So it's a good way for people that aren't creative, for example, to start exploring. Maybe there's a way that they can make it easy for themselves, and they can bring it in, because it wasn't that expensive either when you compared it to what you buy.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, because there's so many of those home delivery meals that are healthy now. You can give it a go to get you started on this journey rather than starting from scratch. And then when you're ready, you can move on and start making your own. Yeah, you can
make it yourself. So that's one of the things. Yeah. So I mean, if you can do it with one that has some sort of zero waste ethos as well, that's all better. But we just couldn't find any that.
Maybe you can come up with one.
Maybe we should be doing it ourselves.
Yeah, but tell me a bit more about why are you so passionate about this packaging thing?
Um, I don't know. I hate plastic. I don't like using that word, but I normally say I don't like it when I instead of that word. But I really hate plastic. I don't know where that's come from, but I just don't like the idea of something being in this world for, as long as plastic is. It doesn't break down. It obviously, everyone knows how it kills wildlife and, especially in the oceans. And it just blows my mind that when it's avoidable, um, you know, we've been so slow to react. I mean, only now we're starting to see this level of interest, but for many years and centuries since the Industrial Revolution, it's all been going that way. And it's all led by industry and money. And, at some point, you've got to realize that money is important, economy is important, industry is important, but you've got to start looking at creating the industries that are going to be sustainable, not go on with these sort of industries that have been around for years and have caused so much damage. So, I just felt we were in a position at the time when we looked at this as a concept, that we were selling so many groceries in packaging, and being up here in Mullumbimby, we're also being exposed to and learning from all the different sustainability mindsets that are up here, and it just challenged us in what we were doing, and especially with the education and the learning that we had with healthy eating as well. That was kind of what culminated into us moving away from the direction that the shop was going. And obviously it resonated with so many people because they were all in the same position of looking for another alternative. And the irony is that it's not even a new. The concept that we came out with is a modernized, hygienic version of what's been around for years. Of going, you go to Europe, and even when I was a kid, you buy stuff from barrels. Even though now the councils make it difficult to do it that way, so that's why we've got to have the hygiene practices. But for many years, that's how people shopped. And so we felt that we're in a position to do something responsible, and we could have continued down the profit line and tried to sell as much as we can without even thinking about it, or we could just take the high road and try and do it in a way that left a better imprint for our kids. And our kids were big drivers when we were having children, and that obviously started giving us different perspectives on life and this world and what we're leaving behind. And so that's why, and the passions grew from all of that.
Well, I can feel your passion coming through the camera as you were speaking this.
Forever talking about all of this.
Yeah. I mean, and I appreciate how you just took the leadership and took massive action on this, because now, since I began on this healthy plant-based journey, I started shopping at your stores, and I've become more conscious on packaging as well as a result. So when I see on social media, there's all these health influencers promoting, okay, this is what they add into their, let's say, protein shake in the morning. And then I just see them package after package of dumping that powder in. And I can't stand it when I'm watching it. I really can't. And I'm just like, go to the Soulspoke Food, get it in a bottle. And then I love it how you don't have any plastic in your store. It's just paper bags.
Yeah.
Glass containers and everything.
Yeah. And look, we encourage, even paper bags, we encourage people to bring them in and just reuse them, because there's obviously when people come into our stores, they have the products that they buy day in and day out. And it's great because they bring the paper bags folded and they know what's in this bag. And even using the paper bags, reusing the paper bags, we have that kind of level of commitment. It's fantastic. But,
wow, I didn't know about that. I'll do that next time.
Yeah, look, if you remember, I mean, because it's, I know that people don't think of the paper bags, but the paper bags are easily recycled and they compost, but we don't actually, promote recycling. We prefer to reuse or to get something that isn't recycled, because recycling takes a lot of resources as well. So it's not it's not the solution. We prefer to eliminate than to even go down the recycling path. So reuse,
Yes.
bring it in as many times as you can, and then after that, use it for something else. Well, whatever it might be, try and use it for something else, and then only when you get to that point, if it's compostable, obviously it becomes then composting for veggies in the garden or something, for example. But if it's not that, at least recycle or put it into some sort of scheme that you can, it can be reused as a resource. But
Yeah.
having the discussions around it, and look, the what was it, the war on waste when that came out, commercialized the issue a lot, and there's more and more talk about it, which is good. More people are being exposed to some of the issues.
And that reminds me of another topic that we were chatting the first time we talked about organics.
Oh yes.
Yeah, tell me a bit more about your passion for organics as well, because I've also, since I started on this journey, I've become more health conscious, not only eating more plants, but I also buy non-GMO and organics wherever possible. But can you tell us a bit more about your passion in this area?
Yeah, well, look, so one of I'd like to answer in a couple of ways. The first one is it's a passion, but it's a passion through what we've seen in the fruit shop. So, I mean, obviously, a non-organic product, has the potential to bring through, through its life, all the chemicals that it gets fed. So, but there's so many different levels about this, though. I mean, any producer that's using chemicals is depleting the quality of the soil and all of those sort of things. The actual production costs are quite high, when you're looking at talking about that as well. But from a chemical perspective, if you're eating a vegetable or whatever it might be that's come through that process, then you're potentially taking in some of those chemicals that are coming through the life of cultivating that product. So, I think the example I mentioned to you when we were speaking was products like broccoli and cauliflower and spinach. They're not spinach, yes, but more than broccoli. They get they're grown with quite a lot of chemicals used on it, and mainly pesticides. And the difference there is that the pesticides get sprayed onto the product as opposed to, say, a chemical fertilizer that gets used to feed the product. And when you've got a combination of both, then it's a double whammy. And I think the conversation that we had was, I wonder whether people even understand that. And I know that when we had the fruit shop, as we were learning about it, I did a lot of research and looked it up. And I informed myself about what was the main culprit, what were the main veggies, what were the veggies that were the main culprits for that. And that was one of the things we started taking away from our not our diet, replicating it with organic product. And we were in a lucky position that we obviously had a shop to choose from. But I said to you that a lot of times people either aren't aware or they can't afford to buy organic, and that's a big issue. And 20 years ago or so, or 15 years ago, the organic prices for a product was a lot higher than they currently are. As we see the increase in the demand and the understanding, more people are growing organic, and so the prices have come down a lot. And there's a lot of items that are now on par, within reason, because organic products are sold seasonally, because there's not chemicals used out of season. So I suggested to you, for example, that maybe you could take away, just choose to not buy broccoli in conventional format 1 week and just buy that, organic for that week or from that point on. And you're just changing the one item, but you could be eliminating so many chemicals because that's the one item that gets sprayed quite a lot. So even if you can't afford to change your whole diet, even just changing the one thing based on what your own research is, could make a big difference to your health. And imagine if everyone did that one change, how much of a change would that make collectively? And that's one thing that I'm passionate about, is getting people going. Everyone makes a difference. One little change times all these people in the world, and you can't be, you can't say, oh, my little small change doesn't make a difference. Yes, it does. Yeah. You just don't see it immediately. But if we had said that 15 years ago, and if our parents and grandparents had to use those reasons or excuses, then where would we be? Well, maybe they didn't make those changes in enough time, and now we're the ones that have to make those changes. Maybe if our parents or grandparents had decided not to go down the path, then maybe we would have been in a better position.
Yeah.
But you can make a difference.
And and to that point, every person buy one extra organic broccoli will make a change. It's the exact same effect as the toilet paper effect. Exactly. Everyone bought one extra roll for toilet paper, and see what happens to the supply.
But even just getting used to eating seasonally, even just a small thing like that, because when you think of buying broccoli and spinach, you don't even think about the fact that it's grown seasonally. People are not educated around that. So when we came up here and we realized that there's seasonality to the produce, people that aren't used to that, because they're used to just buying it from a supermarket that's selling it all year round, and they're only selling it all year round because they're adding the chemicals for this particular product to be grown for that season. But just getting used to eating seasonally, like the way it's meant to be, that not only gets the food being more responsive in your own body, but it also makes you question, when you're looking at organic product, why it's so expensive in one particular time frame, or why it's not even available. And instead of buying it conventionally, just think about, hold on, maybe we're not meant to be eating it at this time, so I'm not going to pay that much for it, or I'm just going to choose to go to something else that's seasonal. So people, I think, if they're more mindful about that and just get back to what we're meant to be doing naturally.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. I've totally forgotten about that, like buying it seasonally. And so what season are broccolis grown in, for example?
Now you're challenging me. I believe that it's a winter crop, but please don't quote me on this. I get people calling in complaining, or if it was a radio show, people would be dialing up saying he's wrong.
We'll Google it and put the correct season in the video. Yeah. Well, I think there's a really big theme that's coming through our conversation today, is that on this journey of being healthy, going plant-based, it's also very important that we keep in mind that we're just really going back to nature. And by going back to nature, we also have to go on this journey, not only to take care of ourselves, but we also have to take care of nature. We also have to be sustainable in the way we buy things, the way it's packaged, and also the way it's grown. It's really just going back to our roots, isn't it?
It is. I think. I mean, look, if people are here listening to us or watching us, I think they've already got whatever their passion is because they're here. I think the challenge is, and sometimes I question. I don't question it, but I always think I feel like I'm preaching to the converted in a way. The people that are coming to our stores and the people that are listening. And the challenge is to get the people to educate, and I don't mean impose. I mean just put out my version of what of what I'm thinking for other people to look at and respond to. And so for me, it's how it's the people that are not eating or thinking this way that I'd like to put myself in front of, for them to listen to me and form their own opinion and either go away and ignore me or go away and think about it. And I think that's a challenge we all have, is just to do it in a respectful way that says, look, this is just another way for you to think about, and what do you think? And like I said, go away and ignore me or go away and think about it.
Exactly. We're here to get you thinking. And if you like what we're talking about today, and there's someone in your mind that you think will benefit from hearing to our conversation today, please share it with them and get them thinking as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, oh my God, I could continue to talk with you forever, but we're running out of time.
Your wheel looked like it had so many more questions.
I know. So we're down to our last two questions. So tell me a bit more about your store and why people should shop at your store.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, as we've discussed a little bit here, our stores offer an opportunity for you to move away from, packaging and plastic. It also offers you the opportunity to start thinking about what you're buying, and like I'll give you a very quick example that. Some people sometimes say, why is that product, $1 more a kilo, for example, in a supermarket? And there was one example recently that I went through this with a customer, and it turned out that the particular product that they had brought to me was used palm oil in it. And our product was a coconut oil. Now, the supply of our product is very limited. There's not millions of people selling it, so we don't have the volume, and they don't have the supply to sell it for the same price. But it was all about educating people about why that product's $1 more kilo than you find at a supermarket. And we won't go and find the supermarket product. We will continue to sell our product because that's our values. That's why we're here. So, our stores offer you that education around what you're buying, not only from us, but also to make people aware of what they're buying from, the traditional outlets as well. We want people to question what's in your food. We want people to question, why should I buy this in plastic? Because that's all I'm being given. Make the decision to impact the world in the way that you want, and hopefully it's a positive way. That's what we offer, I guess, at the end of the day.
And I love that. Like, the way I shop now has totally changed. If I'm looking for a certain ingredient, like a type of nut or even pasta or rice or whatever, the first thing I'll do is go to your shop and see if it's there, because I know I can avoid the packaging.
Yeah.
And it's only when I can't find it, I'll end up at the supermarket.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. That's good. But that is, I guess that's what we want people to think, it's just to question that. And look, part of our role is to make it as easy as possible for people. So, we, even though it's the supermarket comes with the convenience of just pushing plastic and packets into your trolley, we say, look, you might have to just prepare yourself a little bit and know that your flour's running out, and bring the jar with you, or at least think about how you're taking it back. But it takes time, it takes effort. If we're going to make any changes, we have to apply that effort to the change. Otherwise, everything's the same as it always has been.
Yeah, and it's just a habit. Once you get used to it, you actually, I feel like, this is what I do now. For me to go back to buying at the supermarket, I feel so wrong doing it. Like, with all these plastic, I feel so wrong. And for me, I know when I go to a store, I can trust the organic offerings you have in there. I just go for all the organic stuffs in there. Yeah.
Good.
And I love that. Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's good.
Thank you. All right. So our last question is, our goal for the Healthfulness Podcast is we would like to influence and impact as many people as we can globally to join this plant-based journey, whether it's for all the different reasons that motivates them. So which health heroes can you help us invite to join our Healthfulness Podcast?
Right. Okay. I've got a few, obviously, with our contacts and with the products that we have. It's all going to be, they're all going to be food-based heroes, and we've got so many fantastic, businesses that we utilize. From our protein ball supplier to some of our granolas, some of our raw confectionery products. I wish I could name them, but I'd love to get their okay first. But we've got so many really interesting, very unique people that are innovators. Some of them we've grown and helped them grow with us as well. So it's been a really nice journey to meet all these people. But I can help you with so many contacts. Absolutely.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm so excited. So let me know, and I'll be in touch with them and invite them onto a podcast.
I'm sorry I can't give you any names just yet, but I'd rather not make it public without their permission.
Yeah, I understand that. We'll be in touch.
Good.
Yeah. All right. And so if you enjoyed listening to today's show, please remember to share this with whoever you think will benefit from listening to this. Today's show has been slightly different. Not only we looked at how to be healthy, but we also saw it from a different angle on how to be healthy and also to live sustainably and also save Earth and like avoid packaging at the same time. I hope this resonated with you because it really has touched me. I enjoyed so much talking to you, Paul.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I've enjoyed it. You're a barrel of energy. I want to take some of that with me for the rest of the day and the rest of the month.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a sign-off slogan for our guest, and that is for you to say, live healthy, live happy, and ha, 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 laugh it out.
Live healthy and live happy and laugh it out.
Thank you so much, Paul. Live healthy, live happy. Woohoo! We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, speak and pause. Do you hear a replay? Yes, technology is working. Welcome. Welcome to Healthfulness. Welcome to Healthfulness. Welcome to Healthfulness Age of the Plant Podcast. 有没有起鸡皮疙瘩? I see you. Their customers agreed. I agree too. Today, they are now the largest specialised bulk source food retailer in Australia to share his passion on living healthy and living to save Earth. Oh, 喷水暖. The source bulk foods. The source bulk foods. 好饶舌哦. Hello. Hey. Hello. Hi, Paul.
Hey, how are you going? You look like you're in the Bahamas or something. It's warm where you are. Then I thought this might be too unprofessional, but
no, you can tell I'm very professional. That's what I thought I was.
No,
I keep it simple. Yeah, it's more.
No, that's good.
Life was good, but they knew it could be great. Excessive packaging. The salt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. I don't know how to say this name properly. Mullumbimby.
That's it. Perfect.
Mullumbimby to Balmain.
There you go.
What do you think of that?
You should be a copywriter.
Thank you. How do I say your last name correctly?
Medeiros.
And is that, what European background is that?
Portuguese. You can say it however you like though, no problem.
I would have said it like Paul Medeiros.
That's all right, that works.
Paul Medeiros. That's a pretty cool name.
Yeah, thank you. I've never been made to be to have so much input. I appreciate it. It surprised me.
Surprise you?
Surprise me. I'll go with it.
All right, let's get going. Okay?
Ready?
Well, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. I really liked it when you started really talking about your passion. I could see the switch there. Because I was like, I really want to get that out of you. And I was like, how should I do it? And I was waiting for the right timing. When
you find something that you're really passionate about, you're just going to make it happen. You know, that's the measure of success. It's not, of course, the money comes with the success of you following that. But if you're doing something that you don't love, you're not going to be as motivated, and you're not going to spend the quality energy and input into it to make it work. So having that passion for me in business is a must. And obviously it relates to this because it's also a passion in our lives to feed our family, in a better, healthier way. But I tell you, I can talk for hours about, sustainability and waste.
Wow.
Bore you to death.
No, I love listening to it because I know, so my friend Vivian, who's helping me to edit the videos, she's so passionate about sustainability as well. So she's gonna absolutely love our conversation today.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah. So hello to her for me then.
Yeah, you can say hi to her right now. She'll be looking at this.
Hello.
One person, just one broccoli at a time. That's exactly my concept as well. One bite at a time. Yeah,
that's how change happens. Yeah. I think it's worse. I think what makes it worse is when you think that you can change the world overnight. A, you're going to fail miserably. B, you're going to come across as this tyrant. And C, it's not going to go anywhere because when you, like I said, to create that buy-in takes time. You need to believe it in yourself. You can't. It doesn't happen any other way. And that buy-in comes when you've researched or explored or been presented with an idea. It doesn't just, you don't wake up and go, I'm going to be like this tomorrow. And if
so true.
It's not going to happen. It's not natural.
I'm selling my plant-based, living healthy, living happy. Like the way I see it is I need to live it. I need to believe in this. And so I'm using myself as an experiment in everything I do. And I'm not going to promote anything that I haven't tried myself.
That's good. You're doing it.
Buying at your store just really helps me on this journey. I have a whole shelf in my cupboard. That's all of your stuff.
There you go. You need to get shares in the business then.
I actually have this dream, because I'm starting here mainly because I'm more fluent in English. I can read and write in English. But my background is Taiwan, and I really want to bring this plant-based healthy lifestyle into Taiwan and into Asia because they really lack it over there. It's like how you're describing Portugal. It's the same thing.
Anything's possible. For me, it's a matter of every time I go back, I think if I just had a little shop there and just one shop and then someone that I knew was running it, you'd have the like-minded people buying from there first and then the same thing would happen. Then you'd get an interest and people would start resonating with it.
And the guests I invite are from it's very diverse type of guests. So I've heard from you today, which is you're on the supply side and you're passionate about saving Earth. I have someone lined up who's all about microbiotics, healing energy. I have another one that's an ultra runner coming up. I have someone who's in astrology, but also plant-based. I also have nutritionists, coaches as well. So it's all very diverse and they are just tackling the same subject from different angles. And I'm hoping that because it's all different and there's beginners as well, that there will be something that's going to make their heart sing when they listen to one of those episodes. And that's how we can reach more and more people.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
It's and that's how I'm hoping it to spread. But the only way we can spread is I don't want language to be the barrier. I'm happy to collaborate and see how we can provide it in Portuguese subtitle as well.
That'd be so cool.
I'm using myself as an experiment. I'm also trying out those plant-based meats.
Right, okay.
I don't have it often, but I do it to go, if you look at the ingredients, you can read the English. It's not full of chemicals you don't understand. Then it's okay to zag on it once in a while because you need that balance. And if that is going to help you stay on the plant-based journey, then that's good. And that's how I accidentally gave up alcohol. I gave up sweets. Gave up cheese. I'm on the verge of giving up cheese now. And what else? Nutella. That was a big one for me. Nutella. It's crazy. To the extent that because I'm preparing for my video shooting on Saturday, I made Nutellas from the hazelnuts I've got from the store the other night.
I was going to say, you just change it with it. You can actually blend your own.
You'll see that what they label as sugar-free cookies or vegan cookies, it's actually replaced sugar and replaced with a lot of oil that are just plant-based. So it's all bullshit.
And they're feeding the kids whatever, and it's half of it's chemicals, and I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, I can't stand that as well. Do you not care about your health? Do you not care about the environment? Do you not care about your children's children? The more reasons you have, the more passionate and it's going to help you stay on this journey.
Very good. All right, I could go on for hours, but
I know. Thank you so much, Paul, for your time today.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you, Paul. Have a great day.
Bye, you too.
Bye.